Yeah, I believe we should be live. Should be live. Should be up and running. Um, yeah, so this one is just gonna be we're just gonna go over stuff this week. If people have any questions, like as always, don't hesitate to ask. We'll go through this stuff and we'll go through it that way. We will be streaming on multiple platforms today. We will be on TikTok. We will be on Twitch. We will be on YouTube. We are on both our we're on both our TikTok platforms basically, so that way we can try to reach more people as best we can. The issue going there's a lot of stuff changing and a lot of stuff going on right now that we have to try to um, at least have a conversation on. There's a lot of like this past week has been full of Supreme Court orders, different stuff that's going to affect veterans at the long end of it. Um, One of the biggest things I wanted to talk about and get into was the whole shaving. I don't know if you can call it a fiasco or a whole shaving incident when it comes to soldiers and their shaving profiles now, which is becoming a it's becoming a bigger thing than it needs to be, or than people fail to realize. Like it's an attack. I wouldn't say it's an attack, but it seems like it's an attack on people of African American descent, people that have hair follicle issues. Because the thing is not everybody runs into that issue. But that's something that also goes into veteran affairs, because a lot of vets don't understand that if you are dealing with pseudo barbolifollitis, I can't even say it, shaving profile, if you have ingrown hairs, that is something that you can claim through your disability claims. Most people don't understand that. The issue that I have with this is that you are making it so that service members that have a profile have gone and have been documented. Because the thing is what people don't understand when it comes to this. When it comes to having a shaving profile, you go through the process. I didn't get a shaving profile. I went and actually did the laser therapy on my face in order to be able to get, you know, you say, can't hear me? I'm muted? What the hell? Why am I muted? Oh, on TikTok. That's why. Hold on. Give me a second. Made a couple of changes. All right. I think now you should be able to hear me. Yeah. All right. All right. Now you should be able to hear me. Should be able to hear me now. I'm hoping so at least. But that's what I was saying. Like when it came to like shaving profiles, right? Okay. Thank you, Jordan. Thank you all. When it came to shaving profiles, it's something that people don't understand. Like, I went through the process because, as you can see, I have my beard. My beard right now does not grow in fully. As you can see, my beard right now, it is like missing here, kind of light here, and that's because I went through the actual laser therapy that the military provides. So basically, the military would provide you the ability to do that. They will give you the ability to, give you like go through the laser therapy, right? So this is something and a process that they go through, and they don't explain all the different stuff that happens to it. Because the thing is you will go through this laser surgery, and the thing is, it's literally you're cauterizing. I wouldn't say cauterizing, but it's kind of because you're thinning the hair follicles within the skin. So basically, what happens is that it doesn't grow as thick anymore, but it still grows out. So you can still receive ingrown hairs, just that the possibility of having those ingrown hairs decreases because of the fact that you did the laser therapy. The problem is that, as you can see, like I used to be able to grow a full beard like up to here, and it would grow. What I did was, since I was getting so many ingrown hairs, you can still see like the scars and the markings of ingrown hairs I have. You end up going through that process because it's like, hey, if you're gonna serve in the military, what are you gonna do? You're gonna cut your hair. You have to shave until you get a shaving profile. You have to shave, and then a lot of the times is that what doesn't get taken into account is is that a lot of people go through this process and they have to shave all the time. So you continuously shaving every day, especially if you have leadership that's like nitpicking, that is like, oh my God, beards are the worst thing in the fucking world. And they're gonna continue to keep on making you shave, and all it does, it keeps on irritating your skin. So it's either you go and get a profile, or you try to be one of those shitbags that, shaves here and there, lets their hair grow out and stuff like that, which causes you more problems. So I went the route of, hey, I'm getting all these ingrowns. That was just like, I didn't know it was laser therapy. So my thought process is, I go through the laser therapy, it's gonna thin out my hair and it's not gonna grow it back. I'm thinking, or I'm under the assumption that it's still gonna grow back. That part wasn't explained to me. That was one of the parts that wasn't explained to me as a service member. That was just like, hey, you're gonna get this, and chances are your hair is not gonna grow back at all. They basically say, yes, it's going to help thin it. It's going to help alleviate the fact of you having or needing a shaving profile. You're still going to get the shaving profile. The biggest issue is that you're not going to be able to regrow your hair the way you thought you would. So now you go through this whole process, and it's just like, why are we going against service members that basically are trying to do their best and are still shaving, are going through the process because they want to stay in the military? And now there's a chance of them being kicked out of the military just because of a natural genetic issue that they have. Because it affects mostly African American and minority people. You still have a ton of people that have shaving profiles. Now, if you were to tell me that you were going to go against shaving profiles for certain religious beliefs and stuff like that, because some people say they Jedi, some people say they're Norse, some people say they're Vikings. Like, when you look at it like that, it'd be like, come on, bro, are you serious? Like, you really thought that's what you was going to cook with? It was just like, you're a Viking now, and that's why you need a haircut? I was just like, okay, that I never understood how you got a profile for that. But at the same time, I do understand that some people, it doesn't only happen to African Americans. It's predominantly an issue that is caused with African American descent. But it's not only that. The problem that it's just like, it's a crazy thought process that of all the things you need to fix, you want to talk about standards and discipline. And the worst part of standards and discipline in the military is a fucking shaving profile. Like, you can't make this shit up. So all these old seniors that are fat, can't run, don't have a fucking rolling profile, don't do much else, they're not the problem. That's not the discipline issue, where you have a senior leader that can't run because he's on a no-run profile. The problem is that soldier that's hardworking that has a fucking beard. Like, this is the nonsense that you come up with. Like, this is the stuff that is just like, are you really serious at the fact that is just like, these people are such a detriment to standards and regulations that you have to try to basically find a way to kick them out if they have a beard. So you would rather a person shave their face, have scars, have all these bumps and bruises and all these scars from shaving, instead of just allowing them to have a shaving profile, which still operates. I was a chemical soldier. The beard has to fit in, and it's because of the beard shit, is bullshit. That is complete and utter bullshit. Air Force 7 years, 100% service connected. Nice. That was just like, but people don't understand that. People just want to assume or make that assumption that that's the reason. It was just like, no, I'm chemical. I got Pro Mask right here. I got Pro Mask I could probably try on right now, and you can see that it seals. Because this is the argument I have. Me being a chemical soldier and me dealing with this on a larger rate than a lot of people. When you put on a Pro Mask, they say that the beard is a hindrance to making a seal. The one thing that I like to point out to people is that not everybody has the same shape head, right? Not everybody got the same shape head, right? Not everybody got the same fucking hairline. So if you don't have the same fucking hairline, and your hairline is either like it runs low or whatever the case, when you put in the Pro Mask on, the Pro Mask is still on your hairline. So now if you still manage to seal the mask with your hair, how is it that you can't seal it with your beard? And it's been proven because people have tested it out. Now, there's certain instances like, yes, wearing a mask, there will be little seals and leaks, and that happens regularly, but that could happen with somebody that doesn't know how to put the shit on. So that's not a valid excuse to try to say, hey, soldiers should not have beards because of the fact that they're in a thing. Now, this is a solution I would always have, and I always thought of. If you are going into a deployed environment, if you're in a deployed environment, that makes sense. It makes sense you have to shave. I don't think any soldier's going to have a reason. It's not a valid excuse. If you're in a deployed environment and you go into, let's say, a place that they say, hey, these people may have weapons, weapons of mass destruction, or they have, biological stuff or chemical stuff, and then it's just like, all right, I'll shave. You best believe I'm gonna shut this shit off if you telling me I'm gonna deploy to an area where they might have something that I'm gonna need my mask for. That's a different instance. But you're in garrison. You're back in the unit. You're back in the States. All you're doing is training. It was just like, is it really that much of an issue to do it? And the thing is most of the people that have shaving profiles don't have anything there. Anyone served in the use of as complicit in war crimes and should be jailed. Okay. Okay, I guess. Like, I don't know who comes up with this stuff. I'm just like, but that's the thing that people don't fail to realize when it comes to that. It's just like, that is not a valid excuse. That is not a valid issue. That is not, it is not something that is meant to hinder anybody. You're not going to hinder anybody because of that. There's not going to be a hindrance towards you being able to do these things. It's just not. You're still going to be a soldier. You have to, because the thing is, it's just like, bro, it's easy to tell somebody apart. Like, most of the time, you can tell soldiers apart right now because you can just look at them and it's like, look at that fucking haircut. Just like, you just got to point at, look at that fucking haircut. That's a soldier right there. I don't care. That guy came straight out of boot camp. Like, you could just tell from the get, just seeing some people. It was just, you got the high fucking tight or the high skin fade. I was like, bro, that's a soldier if I've seen one. They was just like, but if he had a beard, then it's just like, he got the high and tight, but he got a beard. I don't know. It's a blend thing. It's to not stand out. You want to talk about camouflage, right? You want to talk about integrating yourself. You want to talk about doing that. You're not doing that by not allowing soldiers to grow a beard. The beard is not hindering people. The beard doesn't get into training. If you need to fire a weapon, do you need a beard for it? No. Can you do it without the beard? Yes. It was just like, well, where's that part there where it's just like, oh my God, this is detrimental to the fucking service. Having a beard. It just doesn't happen. But the fact that you're gonna be kicking people out after, so basically this is the you know what I find interesting? You remember how they did this with COVID and the vaccines? You remember how they did that in the military? Oh, if you don't take this vaccine, you getting kicked out. If you don't take this fucking shot, you getting kicked out of the military. Remember that part? And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, we want to bring people back. We don't want to kick people out. If you got kicked out of the military because you didn't take the damn vaccine, we're gonna let you back in. Now it's gonna be, we're gonna kick you out. The vaccine was mandatory in the military. The problem was that it was mandatory, but some people refused to take the jab. And some of those people ended up getting moved out of the military because they didn't want to take the jab. And then come to find out you didn't really need to take the jab. But they kicked those people out. So now they're saying, hey, we'll let you back in. So now imagine what's going to happen when you start saying, we need to kick out soldiers that have beards. So all soldiers that have beards, we're going to start phasing you out. We're going to start kicking you out. If you don't go through the process of getting it documented, if you've needed it for more than a year, you should do that. Now, my question is like, how is that a hindrance to the military service? It's not a hindrance to the military service. A person that can't run is a hindrance to the military service. Why? Because for you to do your APFT, you have to run, right? Or you do the bike or you do the walk. I was just like, but at the same time, if you are in a position or in a place of combat and you can't run, how are you going to be successful? How are you going to be able to lead your unit, your battalion, your division, your whatever, if you can't even run? Or if you overweight? Like, you can't do any of those things. You can't run. What you gonna run from? All of a sudden you can run magically, but you have a no running profile. But all of a sudden when you need to, you can fucking haul ass. I don't see the fucking shaving stopping people from running those fucking 6 miles that they want to run in the morning. I don't know a beard stopping somebody from doing a 12-mile ruck that you have to do every quarter. I don't see it at the range. I don't see it hindering a PT test. I don't see a person being able to not deploy because of a shaving profile. So you're telling me that standards and discipline is so bad because of shaving profiles, but we're not going to talk about all the SA. We're not going to talk about all these fraternization. We're not going to talk about all these senior leaders that are being caught in these fucking uh, trafficking rings or what else? All the stuff that you can find that all these fucking senior leaders are doing is a bigger hindrance to the fucking force than it is fucking having a shaving profile. Because you got SA happening and it still happens, and what happens? It gets brushed under the rug. You have soldiers that are ending up missing, and it's because the units is causing them to be missing. They just say, oh, they went AWOL. Look at the Guillen case. Look at there's multiple cases of this shit happening. So it's just like you want to cause this issue to what? Because just this last year they had problems with re-enlisting people, right? Then all of a sudden this year they've been making the numbers, but it's easy to make numbers when you drop the standards of the numbers you need. It's not that difficult. Not that difficult. But then you see how it continues with how this administration goes also. Sony camera. You say crispy. It was just like, but that's the part where we don't make that connection because that's one of those serious connections that we need to make. This administration is showing that it's more important for us to take care of shaving profiles than it is for the actual lack of discipline that is within the military. When you have overweight soldiers, you have overweight leaders, you have leaders that can't do PT correctly, you have leaders that have lost confidence or have done something that they should have kicked out the army, but all you do is move them to another location. So basically you doing all this is not helping standards and discipline. It was just like you found it to be more of an issue to take care of beards than it was to actually take care of the mold that's ongoing in these barracks. This was a higher priority for you to make sure that service members made sure that if you had a beard, you are not going to stay in the military, but we'll let you live in mold. We'll let you just paint over it. We'll let you know what? Grab some bleach and scrub that shit off. We'll be quick to do that, but the problem is the fucking beards. And it's just like when you look at it, it was just like, how is that going to fix the situation? Because now you're gonna lose out on a lot of people. There's gonna be people that are gonna shave, and you always have those. You always have those NCOs. I had an NCO that always was just like, "Hey man, you can just shave. You don't need to get a shaving profile. This is what I use. I use this, and I use this cream." And it was just like, and that's when you start understanding that some of these leaders don't understand that not everybody has the same skin. Not everybody has the same type of hair. Not everybody has the same thing, and that's when you start seeing that some leaders understand different backgrounds and different ethnicities and different uh hair growth, and then some don't. Some just think that it's a one size fit all. It was just like, oh, because you can't grow a beard, you mad at me because I can. Like, what the fuck? So you mad at my genetics because I can grow a beard, but you're gonna tell me I need to shave it all the time and you should use this cream and that cream, and it doesn't work that way. Those things do not work that way. You have to understand that every soldier is different. Every person is different. Everybody's skin is different. What may work for you for ingrown hairs may not work for me. So you can't tell me that because of that you're gonna base it on, oh, this guy has to be kicked out of the military because he got too many ingrown hairs. He can't control it. And it's just like when you look at it, the people that have shaving profiles have to keep their beards correct because you can't have it over a certain length because on the profile it says, hey, you can have your hair a quarter of an inch long, half an inch long, an eighth of an inch long, and you have to maintain it that way. So if you're maintaining it that way, that's a problem. It was just like you exactly. It's just like you have to have it looking professional, anyways. So it's just like in Garrison, it's not like you have people walking around with the fucking Rick Ross or fucking James Harden beard. They're walking around with regular beards. They're walking around doing the regular stuff, going to work, doing their jobs and everything. And it's not like they're causing an issue. But you always have those leaders that is just like, they're quick to go up to a soldier like, hey, where's your shaving profile? You got a shaving profile? Where's it at? You got to have it on you at all times. But then you see that fat fuck of a fucking leader walking around and be like, hey, bro, why don't you go up to him and tell him that his uniform is too fucking small? Or that he's too fucking big? And I was like, that's a bigger concern for me than it is my fucking shaving profile. That was like, you can go quick to go and correct a fucking soldier, but that overweight fucking senior, you stay quiet on. You don't want to say anything to. You just want to keep soldiers fucking mad at the fact that you want to keep on harassing people because you ain't got nothing else better to do. Your best correction was to go after a soldier because he had a beard. But then you have people that are fucking overweight, can't run in your own unit, but you don't correct them. You have leaders that are trying to implement shit that they themselves can't do. I was just like, oh, we're going to do a 12-mile ruck, right? But that leader's on a fucking profile that can't do any ruck. So basically, you telling me we gonna do a ruck, but you not because you can't do it because of your profile? I can still operate with my profile with a beard. No running like, and that's what it's. I don't want to say it's racism, but it seems like I don't. I don't want to use that card. I don't want to use that card that it's a racial thing. It was just like that's something I know that has been in the military for a long ass time. Shaving has been a shit. But it's just like shaving is not that big of an issue. It's not a standards and discipline issue. Because the thing is now I'll understand if you would have told me that everybody had a beard. Everybody can't grow a beard. Everybody can't grow a beard in the military. Not everybody. It doesn't, but that's the thing. That's why they're making it that way because it does not affect only people of color. Because there are white people and there are people that don't have the complexion or the curly hair that still end up with shaving profiles. So the thing is basically this is their easy button basically of saying, hey, we're going to get rid of everybody that has a shaving profile no matter what. Because the thing is a lot of exemptions were made like I was talking about earlier with the whole I believe in a Norse god. Because I saw that one. I was just like, bro, what's your religion? He was like, Norse. I was like, what? I was like, when the fuck did you learn fucking Norse religion? Did you come into the military with that religion or you just came up with it afterwards? And a lot of them come up with it after the fact that now they believe in this and stuff like that and they got it. Now, if you are of Muslim descent or belief and you decided that, well, you have to have a beard, now that's different because that's literally a religious thing that is known across the world. They have a beard. Or they wear the fuck, I forgot what it's called. That's something you know. So it has to be, it's an exception. If you want people to serve in this country, you have to do it. The thing is I saw a report also that for a lot of the people that are joining the military, it's the hijab. There we go. They have a different name for it too. I forget what the fuck it is. But those are the same that is just like some places, and then it is difficult for getting. Because the thing is you're not paying attention. It is. I wouldn't say it's a way for them to go after people of color. Don't get me wrong. It's an attack on them. Because the thing is the biggest. Because you got to remember, if y'all don't know the guy's handle, I think it's like Black Unicorn or something. Black Unicorn 2023, something like that. He's a master sergeant in the thing. His name is Master Sergeant Parker. He went through the issue where he lost his diamond because he had a beard, and that's because he was in 25th ID out in Hawaii, and they didn't give him the position because he had a beard. And they were trying to make him get rid of his beard, and they were trying to make him cut his beard so that he would get the position. And it was a big hoopla. It's gone across a lot of the military where he's been fighting and advocating for fixing this issue. If you have a shaving profile and you have ingrown hairs, he was basically fighting for the fact that it's just like, hey, this is something that naturally happens and it's proven and it's a medical condition. It's not like it's soldiers, like some soldiers be bullshitting and they just like, oh, I need a shaving profile. Doesn't always happen that way. For some people that's the case. For most it isn't. For most people, they don't need a shaving profile. For most people, it's just easy to say, hey, I got a shaving profile. I need a shaving profile. It's on, and we'll go from there. And it's just like, no. But for some people, that's the case. For some people, it's just like, oh, we're going to do this, and this is how we're going to go about it. We're going to say we have this, and in most cases, we don't. And the thing is, but and that's why it's thing, because the thing is, I know it's happening in the army. I'm not sure if this is an all branch thing. The thing is that the army has the biggest number of personnel, so it affects them more. The Marines is next. They have studies and they have all that, but the thing is you have somebody incompetent leading this group. Mom, it's not because of gas masks. That's what my job was in the military. I got my mask. It's not because of this. Because I can put this on and seal it. With this beard I have on, I can still seal this mask. This mask right here can still be sealed, even with this beard, even with my hair. So it's not that it's not the mask that's causing the issue. Because the thing is for some people it does, but you see how my hair is like, look, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna put it on for you. Take off these glasses before I fuck them up. I haven't put this on in who knows how long. See how that's sticking to my face? I don't know if y'all can hear me clearly. I don't have the microphone connected to it. But you see how it is here? This is on my hair. This right here is on my hair. This is my hairline. See hairline? Hairline. Hairline. Hair. And you just gotta seal it. And that's it. The problem that most people have is any air escaping? No. See, so this is one thing that people don't understand. When it comes to wearing a mask and having that mask, what you're supposed to do is before before anybody does that. So since I was chemical, my job was to make sure everybody got one of those masks and it's sealed. That was my job at first, and then started doing a whole bunch of other shit. But that is my main job at that point. Is basically now I was a supply, I was chemical. I just did everybody else's job because I barely did mine. But give me that Amy Winehouse now. Sorry, that's the collection there. Keeping all those. But when you go through the process and you go in, you in process, whoever the chemical soldier is supposed to be, they're supposed to in process you. When they're in processing you, they're supposed to give you a pro mask. You're supposed to sit down. It is called a M41 PATS test. It's been improved. I forget what it's been called to, but it's been upgraded. And basically, you put on a mask, you go and it has detection, and literally you go through 5 tests. Within those 5 tests, that's the old version that's come out. I don't think most army units have gotten it. But the older version, it was 5 tests. You ran through those 5 tests, which was like moving up and side, chewing motion, all that stuff. You went through that, and then if you passed, you kept the mask. If you didn't, you had to keep on testing till you sealed. Depending on, because there was a small, there was a medium, there was a large. If you fit into one of those, whichever one actually sealed on you, that's what you kept. And like I said, some people's hairline, some people had those widow's peaks. If you had a widow peak, your pro mask was gonna be sitting on your hair regardless. But the thing is once you tightened it, if it's tightened up, you're not gonna feel anything. You're not. It's not gonna affect you. Why? Because it's sealed. So it's meant to be sealed on you so that you know that in any case you can use it. And you can always recertify that. Most places don't do that. Most places will hand a person a pro mask and that's the last time they use it. So you're not gonna tell me that it's a military thing. I don't know. I don't know why that is. Did it get too crackly? Did I get too loud? Maybe I don't know. But that's the part that people don't understand about that. That's something that you get trained to do. That's something that you get shamed to do, and then you get shown that you get tested on it, and you have your pro mask. So now that you are basically solidified as, hey, this is your mask, it seals, you're good to go. There's really no excuse. But the thing is if you want to talk about standards and discipline and regulations, you're supposed to do that when you in process soldiers. Most places don't. Most places just throw a mask at it, be like, hey, bro, you got one. Sign for this. You got it now. You good to go. Most people don't actually get tested on their mask. So if they were to go into an environment, they don't do it. But then at the end, they're scrambling before the deployment or whatever. Oh, we got to do this testing and stuff like that. And it's just like, I was just like, but that's the thing. You can ask any unit. I can tell you to ask any active duty soldier now. Just run into any active duty soldier. Ask them when's the last time they actually did CBurn training. Just ask them. Ask them when's the last time they actually did some CBurn training. And they're going to be like, oh, that was months ago. Or shit, I can't remember. Or damn, my fucking pro mask is at the bottom of my duffel bag or in my fucking in my tough box, and I haven't seen that shit in years. It's just like there are certain cases where the pro mask doesn't seal. That does happen. It's not like it doesn't happen. So I don't want people to think like, oh, there's no pro mask. It's not gonna happen that way. Because the thing is it does happen. That does happen. Pro mask will be an issue. But then it's just like you get tested for this. There's procedures for this. See, look, I know it was just like if any military verts are here, you can. Oh, I keep hitting the mic because it's close. That's why. But it's like you can ask any military service member, how many times did you do CBER? How many times did you go and actually put on a pro mask? How many times did you go through a chamber? How many times did you actually have an actual CS grenade thrown towards you? And most of these units and most of these soldiers gonna be like, damn, I can't remember. Or just like, I don't even know where my shit is. So you're not gonna tell me that that's what he said once in Look, see, some people don't even get that. If you are not checking your mask once a month, you put yourself and your team at risk. But that's the thing that people don't understand. I'm not going to say that it's discrimination. It's something that from the dawn of day, it is discrimination. It is discrimination because the thing is when the military first started, the people that had these issues were African American descent. And remember, there wasn't a big integration at first when it came to the military. The military came a long way through where it was just like, hey, white units, black units. He said I was in an active. Bro, you don't even do it. You do it, and they'll tell you to get into mop 4 for no fucking reasons, and then you just sweating balls for fucking 2 to 3, 4 fucking hours and fucking thing that you ain't even fucking using. And I was just like, that's the biggest thing. It is something against African Americans. I'm not gonna say it's fully, but it is a big factor against African Americans because they just don't want people to have shaving. They don't want people to have shaving profiles. They don't want people to have beards. And I was just like, I don't understand how that stops it. 74 Delta, Jordan. I was just like, that doesn't stop it. Because like I said, I just put it on and y'all just see me put on my mask and I sealed it with no issue. Now, there are certain instances where it doesn't, or it may seem like it's sealed or it didn't, but that's the whole point of testing it. That's the whole point of getting your mask fitted. Because the thing is not everybody has a hairline. I was just like, look, if I shave properly, even if I have long fucking sideburns, the side of my shit was still on there. And that's why I showed you that you can still see the hairs on each side. So it's not something that is just like, yeah, they are trying to they're trying to control it, but at the same time they are trying to get rid of people that they don't want in the military. They don't want people with shaving profiles. They would rather have somebody that can't run instead of somebody that has a beard. Who is the approving authority on beards as a whole in the army? That that one is a loaded question because the problem that we have right now is that when it comes to approving authority, it's your commander. See, look, Cindy on YouTube said you are right. I was Seaburn also. The only time I actually did my job was during pre-deployment. Big army. The thing is it's not a big thing where it's just like there's a regulation for hair 670-1 for the army. I'm not sure if it's the same regulations across the different branches, but for the army 670-1 covers it. DA Pam 670-1 covers how to have the beard. The thing is it's a medical condition, so it's like an exemption of it. What they're trying to do is that they're trying to remove that exemption. So that basically it's like, hey, if you need to get a profile and you on this for that long, you need to get out the military because we don't want to cover it. Because the thing is that laser therapy, not many people are told about it. I got it when I was in Hawaii. And that's because they brought up the option because he was just like, look, man, I was like, we could give you a shaving profile, but then we also have this laser therapy that does, it thins the hair and lessens the thing. So I was just like, you know what? I grow thick hair. I got a big beard. If I do this, I should still be able to grow the beard, but when I shave, it's not gonna make it that bad. And if corrections are to be made to said regulation, who's approving authority for this? That would have to be, that's big army at the top. That's like G1 fucking army. And that would have to go through the whole thing of changing AR 670-1, changing it, putting in the new wording and putting that in there. That's all the way at the top. That's like generals and stuff making this stuff. But you can know, yeah, Keg's breath. No, so the laser treatment, the military will pay for the laser treatment. The thing is that not many people get it mentioned. Not every location has it readily available. Like in Hawaii, that was something that they had readily available. I had never heard of that laser treatment till I got to Hawaii. I had the issue while I was at Fort Riley. I just shaved and I kept on getting bumps and stuff, and they would just let me know. The thing is it also depends on your leadership. Because the thing is if you're a hardworking soldier and they know you, they let it slide a bit. Because it's like, yo, this dude works his ass off. It was just like, yeah, they covered the laser treatments. The laser treatments are covered. The thing is that they don't mention it a lot. There was this one doctor, it was a Lieutenant Colonel Cho. That's all that man did. Literally, he was just doing the laser stuff. I would go, and it was like every month I would go, and they would do it because you have to have like 3 or 4 sessions. The problem with it is that when you get it, you will blister up sometimes. So it's just like the hair follicle when it's like burnt and stuff. It's still trying to grow, but you will grow like it'll be like a little blisters. And I have blisters on my chin. You can't see the scars, but I got percentage for the scars that I have under my chin here. My hair grew back, but that was it. The sessions though, so that's the thing. It's it's something that does take away, but it's not that difficult because literally you would go the face because it depends because the thing is when they're using the laser thing, it's like a little heat gun that they use on your face. When they're doing it, there's different levels to it. So the worse your hair is and the worse your follicles are, the thicker your hair is, the higher they up it. The thing is that since it's your face doesn't all of your face doesn't grow the same. The follicles in all parts of your face are not the same. Your follicles here may be a bit more easier to deal with than they are like right at your chin level or right at like the your cheek level. So those different instances cause different because when they got to my chin, they had the same power that it did here. Here you can see it thinned it out, but then it just gave me fucking scars on the bottom of my chin when he tried to do it. You can see on my neck here, you can see how I have darkening parts. Yeah, I have the darkened skin, that little part. That's part of the pigmentation that sometimes changes. But then sometimes that was just ingrown hairs that I just kept on messing with. Because there was times that literally like you would get the laser and it was like you could see that it was blistering and you can literally like squeeze out the whole hair follicle out. And it's just like, so it depends on your skin because if you have sensitive skin and you try to do the laser, it may do some discoloration or it may scar you. So that's something that has to go after that. That's the thing. That's a good question that I've been trying to see and I haven't heard anything about. Would it be a medical separation or are they just gonna get them out? The thing is it would have to be a medical separation. The thing is they're not gonna try to put you on a high DOD rating because of it. So you're still gonna get the VA because with the VA you can still file for that. That's a 10% if you get it. Barbell folliculitis. If you have it, that is a 10%, you know, process. You will get stuff on there. That will happen. You will get a percentage off of that. If you have scars, you will also get a percentage. But the percentage when it comes to the scars is depending on the size of the scar. So it's not just that you're gonna get because you can have a scar, but if your scar is too small, they just be like, you know what, fuck this shit, and we're not giving you anything for it. So that's something people need to understand. You need to understand that the thing is Jordan, it goes 0 to 60, but it depends. So pick at it before you go. See, that's the thing. When it comes to pseudofolliculitis barbea, there we go. It depends on the severity. So the thing is it depends on how bad you get those bumps. If you had a shaving profile, that's an automatic 10%. Automatic 10. The thing is if you do laser, they might not try to give you a higher amount because of the fact that you went through treatment and they know it lessened it. Because, like I said, my hair on my neck, thin as hell. Thin. You see this shit is thick as hell. And it's just like, same treatment, same thing, but it just worked better on my neck that it actually made it thinner. I still get ingrowns, but I don't use regular shaving anymore. I just fucking trim and just keep it low to not get more ingrowns. But at the same time, I don't have to worry about shaving every day. So I can pick at it and get those ingrowns out a lot easier than getting shaving, breaking out. Then the next day, having to shave again, breaking out. Then shaving again, and it's a continuous cycle, and that's why people get those profiles. But that didn't stop me from doing my job. I ended up not getting the shaving profile because of the laser because I didn't have to worry about too many. And I still had ingrowns, but they were not as severe. But for some people, just putting a razor to their skin is just like, see, mom, that's the thing. You would think that the military would offer that. You would think that the military would offer a thing like, hey, you have issues with your skin growing. How about we just wax your face free of charge to the military, and you can at least go a couple of months or at least a couple of weeks without having to worry to shave. That's something that can be proposed, but they rather do the laser because if you do the laser, there's a chance that that hair might not grow back again. I have a line here, like you can see that it's patchy, but there's like a little spot here where I barely have any hair growing. What's up, JC? Barely have any hair growing, even though sometimes that's because of the CPAP machine too. But those are the things that people, it's just like it's not that important and it's not that much of a focal point to make such a big argument about hair. It really isn't. It's not that devastating to the fucking military. But it's just like this has been an issue and it'll continue to be an issue, and that's why they're trying to stop it. Because the thing is you have some, like, that's the thing. It's the military, right? You already know you're gonna have some people that are just gonna try to push the boundary. Just push the boundary. And that's what they're doing. Some people, just like I said, if your religion is Norse or Viking or Jedi or some shit, and then it's just like, oh, that's the reason I got a beard, I would understand why it would be an issue. But then if it's people African American descent, because that's people that have it the worst, if they're having with it, they should have those exemptions. And the process that drives me crazy about it even more is like, this isn't CPAP, so you get no. So a CPAP machine, if you get a CPAP machine after having a sleep study, if you've done it and it's connected to military time in service, the max you can get for a CPAP machine is 50%. You can't get any higher than that. I think it's 100%. If it's 100%, it's like they have to do surgery, or you got a tube or some shit. The max you can get is 50% for a CPAP machine. I'm at 100% P&T, but that's because of everything else I have. So those are the things that is just like you have to, I guess you have to pay attention to, because those are the things that are there. If you got a CPAP machine, that's 50%. If you got migraines, that's 50%. PTSD can range from 0 to 100%. What else? Any ailments, if you got disc issues, joint issues, you got migraines, you got OCD, you got fucking bipolar, anxiety, depression, knee injuries. If you got all that stuff documented, it is not difficult to get to 100% P&T. The difficult part is that when you're trying to get to 100% P&T and you don't have all that stuff. What's up, Cindy? No, they have not changed the regulation on the CPAP. It is still 50%. That is one of the changes that they're proposing. Stuff may change in August. In August is when they're trying to make these changes. They were supposed to change this May. Most of the stuff didn't. So that's something to pay attention to and to keep in mind that some of these things they are trying to change, but it's not there yet. Let me see, because then I would go to schedule ratings. This would fall under respiratory. So they haven't changed it yet. They plan to. But you got to remember, when it comes to any mental issues, they get combined. So literally, that's one of the talks and the changes that people is that they're trying to implement. The mental health rating they're trying to change that. They're trying to change it so that it's, I believe it's like 5 different domains, and then depending on your scoring on those domains is what you get. If you get a high enough rating in one of those domains, it'll cause you to get 100%. So what they're saying is with the new mental health evaluations that they're trying to change, it will actually be easier for people to get an increase or a higher rating through mental health because it's taking different aspects now. So the aspect may be, I think is like work related, socially related, I think like interaction or something. I forget what it is. I know I did a workshop on it like a couple of months ago, and it explained that basically like it gave you the breakdown of that. So basically, it shows like, oh, you got this, you got these different domains. Depending on the points and the stuff you get through the domains, that's what you end up getting. So now that's the issue there, where it's just like a lot of people I know are gonna try to refile again in order to show like, hey, my mental health is worse. But it's still gonna be that what people still need to understand is just because that rating is gonna change, the rating criteria is gonna change. It does not mean that you still don't have information. You still have to have documentation showing that. You still have to have those therapy sessions showing that you have gotten worse, or you have these symptoms, or you have that. You still have to have your documentation. And that's what a lot of people fail to realize. It's like, look, if you didn't have the documentation to get a higher rating with this criteria, that means you're not going to get a higher rating with the next criteria if you didn't have the proper documentation to be successful with this criteria. So that's one thing that people need to realize also. When it comes to those changes are going to be a big influence, but those ain't the only changes that are happening. They want to make changes to sleep apnea because they don't want you to do that. They want to make changes to tinnitus. One of the things that I've noticed that they're trying to do with these changes that they are proposing and they want to implement is to try to minimize where a lot of service members and a lot of veterans are trying to take advantage of the system. And what I mean by that is that some service members are using that secondaries to connect, to connect, to connect, to connect. See what I'm saying? So they start off with tinnitus. Then tinnitus becomes migraines. Then migraines becomes insomnia. Then insomnia becomes this. Then it becomes that. And it's just like, that's how a lot of veterans are doing it to get their percentages up. Now, I'm not saying that they don't have these issues. Most of them do. Good morning, Internet. It was just like a lot of people do have these issues. A lot of people go through these problems. That doesn't mean that they are all service connected. Because the thing is what most people are doing is that they have tinnitus. And from tinnitus, they're connecting secondaries to all that stuff because it's available to do it. But one of the changes that they do want to do, but they haven't been talking too loud on because of these changes that they're making, is that they want to start reducing the amount of people that get disability. One thing was proposed that if you have less than 30%, they want to have it that you don't get anything. And at 30% is where it starts, where you start receiving pay for your dependents also. So they're saying if you got 10 or 20%, you don't get any compensation. Which is crazy to see, because the thing is it's still something that was caused by the military that's causing you this issue, but that's something that they're looking at changing. Now, how long that gonna take, how it is, we don't know, because the thing is the way these people are operating, we don't know what's next. There's mentions of changes of we're gonna bring this up, we're gonna put this into effect, we're gonna do that, but the thing is we have to wait and see it in writing. That's the biggest issue that we have right now, is that not everything is being put down in writing. The whole judge blocking thing, like this is a take that I have with the Supreme Court doing this, right? A lot of the stuff, it's not even like, a lot of people are taking a lot of how can you put it? They're putting a lot of anger on the Supreme Court for like, oh, they didn't rule on it, they didn't do this, they didn't do that. But y'all failed to realize that they basically said that you can't do it this way, but you would be able to do it that way. So a lot of people are taking it that the Supreme Court just wholeheartedly signed off with Donald Trump. And this is the part that people don't understand. Basically, the Supreme Court said that they can't say nothing against it, that a federal judge cannot do a nationwide injunction because it's like that, but it's allowed to be done under a class action suit. And exactly, I think it was like maybe a couple of afters after the Supreme Court decided this, there was already a group that filed a class action lawsuit against Donald Trump and the United States government to not allow them to conduct this birthright citizenship change. Because now it is a class action. So basically, the Supreme Court said it's like, hey, we ain't going to be able to do this because they don't have that power, but they still have the power if it's a class action suit. So if it's a class action suit where it's just like, hey, class action, wholeheartedly, then we can still block it. But then also the Supreme Court is giving the ability of the state or that district to manage it. And you got to remember, there's going to be some places and some states and some regions where they may be more Republican based and they may decide, you know what? We ain't going to have a problem with it. We ain't going to say shit about it. But there's going to be liberal parts. The way this ends up coming out is just like we're going to be like the fucking European Union. That's what I see this becoming. We all fall under the United States, but each state is basically going to turn into its own fucking country. Same way Europe is. Everybody's in the same thing, but every country got their own thing. And that's what it's going to look like in the United States. Each state is going to be different because with this, it's basically saying like, hey, federally, we can't block everything across the nation, but we can block something in this region. We can block something in this region. So if you're in that Northeast region, which is mostly Democratic, they're going to probably vote for shit in a certain way. If you go down south, it's going to be done in a different way. But if you do a class action suit, that may change all of it. That may block it entirely, but otherwise it's not going to block anything. So it's just going to be people continuing to try to do this. And it's just like you're going to keep on seeing more lawsuits, and people are just going to try to fight it that way. So it's still going to be there, but the thing is you have to have the ability to sue. And that's where it becomes difficult because poor people ain't going to be able to sue. Unless there's a lobby group or somebody that has that, it's the same thing. If that doesn't happen, we're not going to have the ability to make those changes. So it would take, I wouldn't say it would take the right person, it would take the right people to make the right lawsuit. Because then if it's the right people with the funding, because you got to remember, going to court is expensive. Basically, the easiest way for them to do it is just like, look, if y'all all broke, I know y'all ain't going to put up money to try to go against this. So it's going to be on those groups, on those corporations, on I forget what it was called that they filed that class action. It's going to be dependent on those people to lead the way. And then everybody else support them after that. Because the thing is a class action lawsuit, that's a lot of fucking money. A regular day person, myself, I'm not going to take a class action suit against the United States government. You know how much money you're going to have to raise? You know how much money you're going to have to put into that? It has to be like a nonprofit or some shit like that sponsors that. Because the thing is otherwise, there's no way in hell regular day people are going to put money together to go against the fucking government. And that's why they want it like that. That's why they say it's a big win for Trump. Because they know the people that a lot of this stuff affects don't have the money to go against it. But when you put people that have the capability to go against it and they have the funding, then you can have those class action suits. So it's not the Supreme Court saying, yes, we want to do it, because you got to remember, this was a case that was decided at the lower courts. The Supreme Court just said, look, we ain't going to say shit about it, but we're going to let the state handle it. The state already said it didn't want it to pass. So it's literally Trump saying, yeah, the Supreme Court is saying, you know what, we ain't getting caught in this bullshit. Send it down to the courts. Let them fucking decide. The court already said they didn't want that to happen. That's why Donald Trump pushed it. Yeah, I keep doing it. It's too close. I'm going to step back a bit. I'm going to move back. I talk with my hands too much. But that's something that is just like, they don't understand. And most people don't understand that. Yeah, if I hit the mic for some reason, it like send it haywire. I don't know why it does that, but that's what it is. So people need to understand that part when it comes to the government. Still got feedback? I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because I have my phone. I don't know. But I know definitely every time I hit it, it causes an issue. So is it still doing that? Is it still? Okay. Yeah, it's every time I hit it because it's a very sensitive fucking microphone. It's a different microphone I have. It's not the usual one I use for these. Um, so it gives me the ability to step back a bit and not be as close. But what's up, melatonin? I was just like, but that's the thing that people need to realize. These are things. The state already decided that they didn't want this to happen, and what had to happen? It had to be Donald Trump and his team to appeal that decision. So the court at the beginning that they're basically sending it back to already decided it was not constitutional. So literally it's going to be kicked back from the thing because they didn't say if it was constitutional or not because the Supreme Court didn't want to make that decision. They wanted to say that, hey, you couldn't put an injunction on this if it's not a class action suit. So basically it's saying, hey, we're not gonna decide if this is constitutional or not. We'll let the lower courts do that. And by doing it that way, that the lower courts decide on it, it's less that we have to worry about. We don't have to make a decision on this. We're going to let the lower courts decide this. We're just saying that, hey, a federal judge cannot do this. A district judge cannot do a nationwide injunction unless it's a class action suit. If it's a class action suit, then yes, it can happen. If not, then not. So basically, the Supreme Court said, hey, Donald Trump, we're going to give you this, but we also going to give them this. So it was a 6-3 because it was just like those six wanted to make it seem like, yes, the Republican ones wanted to make sure, yes, we are on Donald Trump's side. But at the same time, it hinders them and the Republican side because of the fact that a class action suit can be brought up and it will still bring an injunction or a stop to the birthright citizenship talk. And that's already been put in place. So that's where people need to understand that it's just like it's not that the Supreme Court don't give a fuck. It's that the Supreme Court is playing it as they're trying to play it as far back, try to have influence, but as far back as possible where it's not on them to make the decision. We're giving you the option so that judicially it still works and it's still viable for everybody on a level. So it's viable on a level for Donald Trump and his administration to do what he's doing, but it's also viable for the class action suit or for the people of the United States to still fight against these things in a legal procedural manner. Because if they would have been like, you know what, nobody can say anything, no class action suit, there's no possibility, that would have been a problem. But now they're saying they're just like, hey, you can't stop everything, but if it's a class action suit, it can still be stopped nationally. That's why I think they did that. Because I don't think all of those Republican Supreme Court justices are on his side. Some of them are siding with him, but I don't think all of them are on his side. I know a lot of them don't want, because the thing is if they take away, what's up, House? If they take away their ability to function as the highest court in the land, then they're obsolete. Then they're obsolete. If they don't have any need to decide these things, then what the fuck do you need the Supreme Court for? So basically, with them siding this way, it's like, hey, we still have our power of the Supreme Court as the highest house in the land, the highest court in the land, but we're gonna let other people decide this stuff in where they want to decide it. It was just like, because this is the most I've seen where the Supreme Court is looking at cases so quickly. There's the same time the most I've ever seen fucking Republicans fucking work. I was just like, I've never seen Congress work overtime like it has so far to try to change things or fix things or have all these fucking congressional hearings. I was just like, all these congressional hearings, all these fucking committees, all these things are happening at all times of the fucking hour. Yet these people don't do this shit all the fucking time. All of a sudden this year, these motherfuckers got the pep in their step to get everything done to supposedly help the American people, which they're not doing. Oh, just like a lot of people are scared of them, and a lot of people are just scared of it because the thing is they know that if the way like this cult following that Donald Trump has, they don't want to go up against that as Republicans. Because it's easy for Donald Trump to be like, yo, that dude there, trash. And if Donald Trump says that, you know, all those cult fanatics in whatever district or county that is are going to vote that person out. It's not even in question. It's just like you got such a cult following from MAGA in those locations that whoever that Republican is that doesn't side with Donald Trump, he's going to get kicked out. They're going to try. Didn't you? We already heard of him trying to say, oh, we need to primary these couple of Republicans that were against a big bill. So he's already done that. He's already done that. He's already done that. It's just like, but he's doing that, and it's just like they're doing it on that issue, and they're just gonna try to continue with it. But that's where people fail to realize that all these changes are gonna take things. It was just like, look, the House with that big bill decided that they wanted to cut 700 million from Medicaid. The Senate Republicans upped it to 930, almost $1 billion cut from Medicaid. So it's just like they're doing these things, but you have these people that follow it. MAGA's following it. The same way you have sometimes with a lot of veterans. A lot of veterans want to follow the whole MAGA thing, and they want to listen to Pete Hegseth and fucking Secretary Doug Collins. It was just like, hey, we're overspending too much on the VA, yet we upped the budget by $425 million. So we were spending too much in the VA that we had to cut people that were doing jobs that were helping the people through the PACT Act. But then we still got another 425, almost $500 million worth of extra budget added to our budget. So it's just like, let me understand this. We have all these people that have been doing their job. Like some of them weren't doing their job, but we don't know because they just fired people randomly. And then all of a sudden you have an extra $500 million to invest into it. So it's interesting to me when you see it because it's like you have almost $500 million to invest into the VA to supposedly help it. So then why did you have to cut the people you cut if they were doing jobs that were pertinent to reduce the number? Because a lot of it is becoming more AI now. So they haven't said it out loud, but that's what's going on a lot, where a lot of AI is being used. So that's where a lot of those jobs were cut so that AI could do it. But at the same time, who are you hiring? Because the thing is most people don't want to work for the VA. Plain and simple. They can make more money on the outside, so it's not competitive. So you're going to have these extra 400, almost $500 billion worth of budget, but a lot of people don't want to work there. It was like Jordan, she works there, but it's just like a lot of people don't want to work there because they don't get paid enough. Especially, at least if you are a doctor, you don't get paid enough. If you're working within the system, you doing all right. Benefits, all that stuff, you're getting paid, you good. And if you disabled veteran also, you good. That's not an issue. But if you a doctor and you trying to see and do all these things, you know you can make that much more money outside with your own practice than working through the VA. And that's not even in question. That's something that's known. That's something that's been seen. That's something that's it's just not. It's like people need to understand that that's how that's gonna happen. But you have funding for it. We got to see where this funding is. They're saying they're going to put it into high priority stuff. And it's just like, they still haven't even made the cuts they were planning to cut. Because they're still planning to cut more jobs. Meaning there's going to be more funds available. So you're getting $425 something billion to operate your budget. But then also you are releasing and firing a whole bunch of people. So there's going to be an excess of money in the VA. So to not say or not be able to actually produce the results that people need to actually be successful is an issue. And that's something that needs to be looked into with the VA. The VA is proposing a lot of things. The VA is coming up with this. Remember, I still haven't heard anything about the whole anti-Christian task force that they went through the VA. I haven't heard any reports of that, but I do remember they wanted to put emphasis on that. But well, for instance, when it comes to travel pay, the thing is with travel pay when it comes to the military, it basically works on the basis of the BTSSS program. And basically, I believe it's up to 180 days that you can file for travel pay for it to be covered. If it's past 180 days, I don't believe you receive anything in back pay. So you have to make sure that when you go to your appointment, if you sign up through the BTSSS program, 30 days. See, there you go. Thank you, Gina. So it's 30 days. So you get 30 days to file for any kind of travel pay reimbursement. The link is, give me a second. I'll get y'all the link for it. Where the fuck is this shit at? Why don't I have this as a bookmark? That's interesting. So this is the link. I'm gonna put it in so that y'all have it. Give me a second. Put this link in there. Thank you, Gina. Hope you've been well. There's that. That's the link for the travel thing. You can do it. You can access it that way, and that's what you have to do to get through to it, and that's what you use. But you have 30 days to file for a claim and then be able to get it. If you're doing it after the fact, you're not going to be successful. They are not going to reimburse you for that. Because basically it's saying you got 30 days to file this. The same way if you go to an emergency room, you got 72 hours to let them know, let the VA know, hey, you went to the emergency room so that they can cover that issue. Yes, they do have to have that. Especially when it comes to community care. I was just like, that's even that link is there just to sign up for it. If you got any kind of travel or anything, that's what you want to use. Because you're gonna sign up through there. Once you do that, if it is most of the time, they will populate in the system. It's not always that it happens, but most of the time it will populate in the system where it will say, hey, you can create a claim for disappointment, disappointment, disappointment. And most of the time it will say you checked in and you checked out. Sometimes. A lot of the times when it comes to the community care appointments, you have to make sure that you have the documentation showing. Like when I go to the periodontist, they give me a form basically saying, hey, he came in on this visit on this time and that stuff, and I can use that and I can put that in the claim. Gina, for me, I've had other ones populate that were not the primary ones. It's literally, it has to do with the community care. The community care has to let them know about the appointments, because sometimes they communicate with each other where they're tracking these appointments, and then sometimes they're not communicating with them, and that's when you have to do it on your own. So with me, when I go, like sometimes when I go to the chiropractor, it'll show up and I'll get a message from the VA app. It was like, oh, you have an appointment at this time, and I'm just like, what fucking appointment is this? I was like, I didn't schedule no appointment. And then you look at the time and the day, and it's just like, oh, this is my chiropractor. Okay, I got it. And you can claim it. But the shit is like a mile away, so I'm gonna get like what, 30 cents for like like 40 something cents for a mile. So I don't even bother to do it. But when I gotta go to the VA facility, that's an hour away. I file for that one. But it depends on how it's tracked. But you should always get a paper saying that you went to the appointment and stuff like that, because you could just upload it. The same way if you had food while doing that, you can take the receipt and claim it on there. Sometimes they'll give it to you, sometimes they don't. They will give you the mileage. That's something that will be covered through the mileage. Besides that, you got food. If you had to stay for a hotel and stuff like that, because it was like a 2-day thing or whatever the case, you can put that in there and try to file it. Does it always go through? No, depending on the necessity of it. But most of the time it does file. If it doesn't, you got to make sure you're updating it. But you can just get reimbursed for that. It's $18 a deductible basically for like the first amount. So $18 gets taken out at first before you get any payments. Then after that, you get paid for miles, food, and whatever they reimburse you for. But those are things that most people they don't know. So it's just like, that's not on the VA, But like I said, cutting jobs, cutting that stuff is just gonna be interesting now because, like I said, now the instance of like we were talking about the whole beard profile. And Gina, I don't know if you've heard more about this, but I don't know how that's gonna affect filing for it on the back end. Because you gotta look at it like this: if they're making these changes within the military, it's not all over the branches, but it's going to cause a change through the CFR. It's gonna cause a change through claiming having a shaving profile. Because the thing is if you don't have the documentation to do it beforehand, you still might get it, but chances are very low. Because if you show up and you got nothing but razor bumps, they're gonna be like, it's kind of visible. If you show up to your CMP exam and your shit is just like just like inflamed with all the shit. That's one thing. But otherwise, you need the documentation for it. For me, I had the laser therapy, I got the fucking scars, and I was able to get it with no issue. Not everybody does that. Not everybody claims it. Not everybody goes to the doctor to get seen for it. Even if it's just you going to try to get a profile for it, it has to be in your record showing that you had that issue, because then it's easier to tie. But if you don't, it's kind of difficult. And a lot of service members don't even know to file for pseudofolliculitis barbea. I don't know if I said that shit right, but it's as close as it's gonna get. But a lot of people don't understand that you can file for that. Those little scars or those little blemishes and stuff like that, that's skin damage. That's in the CFR. It's under skin. You can go look at that and see what size the scar is, and you may get a percentage, you may not. Depending on the size of the scar and where it is, you get a percentage for it. If you want to be able to grow a fucking beard after the fucking military, don't do the laser. I'll tell you that much. You can still grow it, but it's gonna take some time to fucking heal and grow back. You got to use a whole bunch of stuff to try to make it work. So it's not always gonna work. But that's what I said. It's just like those are the things. It's just like with a shaving profile, changes to the CFR, changes to this administration, changes to the VA, where we're still waiting to see all these different upcoming changes. It's just like shit. My genetics never had it grow. But that's the thing though. Some people grew full beards, some people didn't. Even while in service, some people couldn't grow a full beard. Some people could. But that's not a thing. Like, if I would love to see the number of personnel in the military or in the army that actually have a shaving profile. I just want to know the percentage. Because basically, if your argument is that it's lowering standards and discipline, it should only be lowering standards and discipline for that group of people, for that percentage of people. And that percentage of people isn't that large. Because, put it like this, I believe it's only 14% of the military is African American. Only 14%. So, out of those 14%, how many of those have an actual profile? That's the number, because the thing is you're making such a big issue on this off of such a small percentage of people. There's not that many people that have, like, there's thousands probably that have the shaving profile, but the army has an end strength number of like 450 something thousand, 400 plus thousand. 14% of that is African American. And then an even lower amount actually has shaving profiles. So you can't tell me that a 5% of the military may have a shaving profile, and that is what's hindering our discipline and standards. It's like, to a person that's not in the military, it was like, yeah, beards are terrible. They can't probably even fucking grow one, because that's most of the time how it is. The people that can't grow it are the ones that always have the biggest issue with it. Um, but it's just like that's not an issue. That is not something that's concerning. That is not something that is causing great detriment to the military service. It's just not. We can't go off of this lie that that's the reason why discipline is down. There's more to that. It's just interesting to see, like, how are these people going to be removed out of the military? Is it going to be a medical separation? Is it going to be, oh, you just going to be allowed to ETS? Or how does that work? are you going to be able to claim that as a disability? Because, well, I'm guessing you're still going to be able to claim it as a disability because you're getting kicked out the military for it. But at the same time, I went through the laser therapy and I still got a percentage off of it too. So it's just like, it's interesting because the thing is like all these movements, it has after effects. Because the thing is you're gonna have these people getting kicked out the same way people got kicked out for not, like I said, for not taking the COVID vaccine. You're gonna have these people getting kicked out, people that want to serve in the military, people that are happy to serve in the military, people that are proud to serve in the military and want to stay in the military. But now they're gonna be kicked out of the military because they got facial hair. Not because they didn't do their job, not because they couldn't complete their job, not because they weren't good or bad at their job, because they had a beard. How are we going to recruit people? How are we going to be successful if you're nitpicking stuff like this? If you're nitpicking a person having a beard as a standards issue, yet you can't figure out what fucking PT test you want to have for these people. You wanted to have a whole holistic type military to make sure people are healthier and stuff like that. Y'all threw that out the fucking window. Yeah. You get all those fucking, when you get deployed, you get fucking Japanese encephalitis. Like, bro, what are you putting in my body? It's like, you get the fucking anthrax shot. And you're like, what the fuck are you putting in my body? I was just like, I need this shit. I was like, this is what I need. I was just like, we didn't even have to deal with it, but I had to take the fucking thing. I was just like, that's the crazy part. It was just like, and the crazy thing is too, it's just like everybody got stabbed up and jabbed up with all that other shit, and then it was just like COVID, nope, can't do it. It's just like bro, they just hit you with anthem. They just that I found that funny. But it was just like, hey, some people were right to be like, look, at least these other things they had been looked into and they've been trained on and they knew what it did, as compared to, hey, we're gonna give you a fucking shot that we haven't really medically trialed, but hey, don't worry, you good, you in the military. It was just interesting to see that. But those are the things that it's just like those instances. It was just like, and then talk about, oh, we're gonna bring those people back. I was like, yeah, you needed people, so you wanted to get rid of them because they didn't take a vaccine. That now you're saying nobody needed. They rushed it. Yeah, that's what it is. You get every single fucking shot because that's what I always find interesting. It was just like Japanese encephalitis, anthrax. You got a couple of other ones that they pumped through and shit. You remember when you went through basic training? They hit you with a couple of fucking shots. You ain't know what the fuck you got hit with. You don't know what the fuck they gave you. You just were in the military now. It's just like everybody lined up. You walk through that fucking building, and it was just like, there's one, there's two, there's three, and boom. There you go, be on your way. And you're like, bro, we feel like shit. You don't know what the fuck they just hit you with, and you still in the military. Not nothing. COVID was a different story. But now it's gonna be the same thing with, yeah, that peanut butter shot. Nobody still know. We call it the peanut butter shot and we still don't know what the fuck is in that shit. You know what the fuck that is? You know what the fuck that is? We still don't know what's in that fucking shot. We just call it the peanut butter shot. That's how bad it is. Like nobody knows what the fuck. Can anybody tell me legit? Like, yo, what's in that? Like, I don't even think they know what's in that shit, but you got that shot. That's one thing you definitely did get. You got the peanut butter shot before you left. It was like, we don't know what the fuck else happened, but we got that shot. That was a definite. I got all sorts of shit. I got 10 years worth of fucking shots going to this location, going to that location. I was like, oh, you need this shot for this. I was like, bro, I ain't going to Japan. What the fuck I need this shit for? And I was just like, we just giving it to you anyway. I was like, bro, what? It's Japanese encephalitis. I'm traveling through Kuwait. It's like, I mean, even go. Japan is on the other fucking side. Like, I'm going through Kuwait to get to where I'm going to. Like, that shit has nothing to do with it. You get in the shot though. And like I said, now the question is gonna be, and now the way I want to see it is like, Because the interesting part to this is this is what's going on with this administration. This is what's going on with fucking Whiskey Leaks being in charge. What happens when we get a new Secretary of Defense? What happens if that next Secretary of Defense comes in and is like, you know what? This was a mistake. We lost a lot of people because they had beards. They were good soldiers, good working soldiers, good leaders, and now we lost them because they had a beard. Like, if you, like I said, if you were to explain to these people, it's just like, look, if we are going to a deployed environment, you're going to have to shave. Most of them will be like, all right, as long as I'm in a deployed environment. If I'm gonna be going somewhere for quite some time, I understand that. I will do that. That's not a problem. But if it's, hey, I'm in Garrison, I'm at Fort Riley, I'm at Fort Benning, or fucking Fort Belvoir, or fucking Irwin, or shit like that, I should be able to have my beard. Now you know they're gonna try to keep a loyalist in there, but the thing is things are gonna change. The way this is going, the way people are voting, the way that things are going, it's gonna change too much shit. Like I said, some states are gonna have certain things and some don't, and that's the same thing. That's what I've also been working on with the in the background while I haven't been doing much and doing these streams as much. I've been researching just benefits within each state. So literally going through each state, finding out what their income tax benefits are, their property tax exemptions, their education benefits for dependents, their employment and license stuff. I'm developing that. Give me a second. I'll be right back. Because so that's one of the things I think that it's going to be interesting to pay attention to, because the thing is we have these changes with this administration, right? We have Pete Hegseth, we have VA, Doug Collins, we have just this administration in a whole, right? So with this administration, it's just like these changes are being done at the federal level, but a lot of people ain't paying attention to the state level, and it's like a lot of stuff is not there for veterans. When you look at these, when you look at certain states, it's just like you look at certain states and it's like, damn, y'all don't do shit for veterans. And then you see some states that is just like, man, they take care of you, your spouse, your dependents' education, and all that shit. And it's like, damn, it's just like, I need to move. You start looking at these states, and it's like, you know what? Maybe I'm residing in the wrong state. And it's just like, but that's information that's there that will keep on changing, and people need to pay attention to. That's one of the biggest issues right now, is just that people ain't paying attention to that. Boy, ma'am, that dude, ma'am Danny. I don't know how to fucking say his name. I don't know how to say his last name. He ain't gonna win. He ain't gonna win. He's what New York City needs. He's what this country needs. Mom Donnie, okay. He ain't gonna win. They're gonna make him lose. They're gonna make him lose. Cause the thing is the reason I say they're gonna make him lose is because Andrew Cuomo is still running and not removing himself from the ballot. That's why that man is not gonna win. It's the same. It's the same tactic that they did with fucking Kennedy. Oh, I'm running as an independent and stuff like that. What did he do? He ended up taking votes away from Harris just to be on there. Even though, look at him working directly for the fucking Republicans right now. Even though he's independent and doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about or doing. But Eric Adams is fucking trash. They're pushing harder against him because the thing is that he's a New Yorker. He actually understands the plight of regular day New Yorkers. Eric Adams has always been tying in with the higher corporations because he knows he gets kickbacks from it. He knows he gets extra sponsorship for him running again this time around. It was like they're pushing against it because they know that. It was just like there's a lot of benefits in New York City that need to change. There's a lot of things that need to be made more affordable for people. Raising the rent, raising all the stuff that everybody in this country is having an issue about. Eric Adams wasn't for it. Eric Adams was more making sure the prices went up, congestion pricing, all this stuff. And it's just like, let's find more ways to get money out of people and get the people that can't afford to live here out. The people that are born and raised in New York City can't afford to live there because you got all these people with money coming in and raising prices on everything. I was just like, the dude was being investigated for being corrupt. But the thing is Andrew Cuomo, even though after losing, is still saying, oh, you know what? I'm going to run on this election. And it's just basically to take away votes from the person because they know this guy is an actual threat. This guy in charge is not the people, because the biggest issue and the biggest show of like what we're doing here and what I plan to do as the thing is like when they asked what you wanted to do. And every single body else said, oh, I'm making my trip to Israel, which I'm not sure exactly what that has to do with being the mayor of New York City. That whole question when they asked, everybody's like, oh, I'm going to Israel. This is my 4th trip to Israel, or I'll make sure. And he's just like, nah, bro, I'm staying here. I ain't going nowhere. There's the Jewish communities all over New York City. I go and talk to them directly because they here. And it was just like, why do you have to go to another foreign country to establish the fact that you are here? It was just like, I never understood that part, but he answered that. And he's the only one that continues to answer that way. Unlike the other ones, they're like, oh no, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. They siding with the corporations and stuff like that, where we have the problem. This guy understands, it's like, hey, we could do this. We could raise just a minimal amount for these people to pay extra. It's like, it's not a crazy amount, 2%. 2% isn't crazy when you're a fucking millionaire, multi-millionaire. 2%? 2%. If you're making millions a year, 2% is not going to hurt you if you have to do that. But it contributes to the city. It contributes to infrastructure. It continues to that. 2% isn't much. Now, if you tell me it was like 15%, I'm going to be mad. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to say something. I'm not going to stay quiet. But 2%, the thing is that the affordability isn't there. The thing is when you try to price people out of stuff, it was just like people can't live there. The regular day people that live in New York City don't live there anymore. People are going other places. People are moving to different locations. It's just like that's what it's becoming now. That's what it's becoming now. They're just like moving people out of there and it's not there. And it's just like make it a struggle for people to get the stuff that they need to get. And that goes back to veterans. Veterans is having a hard time. Like, even though supposedly they've been taking care of the backlog and all this stuff, veterans are still getting denied for shit that they got right. Veterans are still losing out on stuff because it's just like there's so like that's part of the thing also. It's just like all this stuff and all these changes is just like the worst part about it is that you don't know what the fuck these people got planned. And that I think makes it the worst part about it. We don't have a solidified plan as to this is what they're doing. It was just like some people move because the thing is like certain states have more benefits than others. Like, look, if you live in the state of Florida, or you live in the state of Texas, you're better off as a veteran there. In Florida, you don't even pay property tax. Like, if you're 100%, you don't pay no property tax. You know what that is? That's a couple extra $1,000 in your pocket that you don't have to spend on property tax if, depending on however much your home is. There's different criteria in different locations that benefit from these people doing that. The problem is just veterans don't know this. Veterans don't know about this information. Veterans don't know that certain states afford better things for them that probably benefit them more as a family member and if they have dependents. Some states you can go and you can get education for free for your dependents. I just found out for fucking Kansas that if for any undergraduate, as long as I am 100% permanent in total, which I am, my dependent or my spouse can go to a Kansas education, accredited education institution, and they get 10 semesters of schooling. I just found that shit out because I was looking into it. And there's other states that do the same thing. California does it, Texas does the Hazelwood Act, and it's just like there's so much stuff there, but veterans don't know of this information. But at the same time, it's the same thing. New York doesn't really give you much stuff as a veteran. It has its perks here and there. Some of them are little minuscule perks, like, hey, you got a free license plate. Cool. I'll take it. Free hunting license, free fishing license. So it was like, cool. If you do that, the $40 ain't gonna kill you though. It's not like you see. It's not like an extraordinary fucking benefit, but it's a benefit that's afforded to you. But some of these benefits may not be there. They may change. We may have differences. We may have different things, and that's the one thing we need to pay attention to when it comes to it. Because the thing is like it's difficult to make these lives and these workshops because the thing is there's an everflow of changes, there's an everflow of information. There's, oh, the VA is about to do this, oh, the VA is talking about this program, but then they don't really give you the specifics. They just talk about it in general, and you don't have like a blueprint of as to what they're going to do, which they don't necessarily have to give out a blueprint, but at least give a plan as to what you're going to do. Because like I said, with this 80,000 cut, they just said that, and that's because people found out because it got leaked. Otherwise, we would get to next month and people would be like, yo, you fired, you fired. And everybody would have been at a loss, but now it's not a surprise. But they still plan on cutting more, even though they increased the budget. So it's just like, it's kind of weird. It's just like you increased the budget, you fired some people. The CFR is going to be changing. We don't know what else Project 2025 may try to implement or may not implement from the whole VA section, but there's a bunch of stuff in there. We've seen that this administration has gone through Project 2025. My biggest concern was through the veteran issue, and that's the one I paid attention to. But they started implementing stuff slowly and stuff like that. The problem is that you see a lot of these protests and stuff like that. There's a lot of veterans in there because they know the issues. They're paying attention to it. So that's why you see a lot of these veteran marches because they're noticing they're just like, hey, you're cutting here, you're cutting there. You're saying that you're actually giving us more, but we're not getting more. So it's just like, who are you hiring? Because these hospitals still need, most of these places are still understaffed. So if you're still hiring, still looking for people, that means it should be a priority to hire people, not to fire them. Because if you planning to fire all these people, but you've been short staffed to all these people, the shit ain't adding up. Can't tell me, oh, we're gonna fire 80,000, but we short 50,000. Like what? It's happening. It's a bad situation all over Vegas. Like this whole situation is just like it's like chaos just trying to ensue and trying to like grow and make it worse than it needs to be. Because veterans are doing what they have to do. I was like, look, a lot of people be like, oh, you swore an oath and this and like that. You swore an oath when you were in active duty. Now, if you want to continue your oath, that's one thing. But a lot of these vets is just like you swore to defend the Constitution, foreign and domestic, while you were in service. Now, that doesn't mean you have to do it outside of service. You can still do it because you are still a service member, you're still a veteran. But at the same time, it's just like that ain't working. You have to do it by the books. You have to do it in writing. You have to have a class action suit now. You see what I'm saying? I was like, those protests are good. It's just like people are seeing that there's, I wouldn't say uprising, but there's a lot of there's still people against these situations. So it's good to see that, because sometimes you just need that one voice to show you, and it's just like, hey, we don't agree with this. So you need somebody to show you that, hey, people are disagreeing and people are marching or people are protesting, and that sometimes helps the situation. But at the end of the day, even though you are protesting and marching, you have to start putting it in writing to actually do it. Yeah, it's inspiring people, which is a good thing, but at the same time, that inspiration needs to lead to actual policy changes. When it comes to, hey, if we're going to have $425 billion extra and you're going to cut all these people, I shouldn't have to worry about veterans not being able to receive any care. I shouldn't have to hear about veterans saying that, oh, I got to drive 4 hours to find a fucking doctor. I was just like, if that veterans needs assistance, you should be able to look up in that area, just like, hey, who would be, because you know it's going to be the cheapest bed. But hey, you live in Kansas. In Kansas, you need fucking a cardiologist, because that's what you need. We only got one in the state. Well, we go make sure you see the cardiologist in that state. Is going to be paid for. You have an appointment. We'll set up the hotel. We'll set up this. It was like you remember when we were in the service and they had fucking DTS system, the defense travel system, and that's what you did. You got your flight. You got a hotel if you got a hotel. You got a rental car if you did, and that was all through the system. It can be done the same way for fucking vets. It's the same thing. You're already reimbursing people for mileage. Same thing. It's the same thing, just that we ain't giving you a government travel card so that Joe Smo, that private, goes to the fucking strip club and fucking charges it on the fucking strip club. Because there was always one. There was always one. I was like, well, the army gave me a fucking credit card. I'm going to go swipe it here. Shwing. It's just like, bro, it doesn't work that way. But that would be a simple way of doing it. It was just like, look, how much is the cost going to go? Because that's the thing. If you're going to have the VA have people to talk about it and make calls, make them make the phone call. Hey, these are the available community centers you have. Which one would you like to go to? Oh, you want to go to this one? Oh, okay. Well, this one is a day's travel or whatever it is. This how long it is. This how much you would get reimbursed if you filed a claim. This is what it is. This appointment, stuff like that. Oh, I had people using that shit at the club. Son is going to Fort Leonard Wood. Fort Lost in the fucking Woods. I know that place. I know that place well. But Fort Lost in the fucking Woods, Missouri. Not too bad, not much to do. Most of these places in the Midwest don't have much to do. Um, as long as he got a car, he could travel. But it depends on if he's getting stationed there or if he's going to basic training there. Because you could go to basic training there and you got all other branches there. Oh, he's just going to book. Yeah, he's just going there. Yeah, that's his location. Because Fort Leonard Wood, you got Benning, you got Jackson, and you got Sill, and those are the locations for if you're going, depending on where you come from. But I was just like, that's what it like. There's solutions that can be brought up. The thing is most of the time they don't get brought up in the right places, or sometimes they don't want to deal with it. How's there a is there for combat engineers will go to Fort Leonard Wood because there's a whole bunch of fucking land for you to just fucking dig. He's a linguistics in California after. Oh, so he's linguistics. Okay. But yeah, you go through that and you do it. But there's a bunch of fucking resources and a bunch of things available for service members to use. It's just they don't know. I was like, look, if once he goes in, while he's in service, make sure he uses tuition assistance, Raphael. Tuition assistance so that he can start on his degree, whether it's an associate's, a bachelor's, or his master's. And tell him to make sure to use the tuition assistance. It is basically them paying for him to get college credits. Tuition assistance, best thing. One of the things I always say is don't be hesitant to volunteer for shit. A lot of the times you may volunteer for some shit that sucks, but then sometimes you will volunteer for shit and you will have the fucking time of your life. You will have an experience that you didn't experience, and you will meet a whole lot of you will meet a bunch of other people that you probably never would have met if it weren't for that volunteering. It was like be hungry. Tell them to be hungry. Tell them to want to improve. Tell them to learn. Tell them to get all the opportunities he can so he becomes more well-rounded. But tuition assistance is something that has to be used in order for him to get his degree or work on his degree while he's in service. Then when he's out of service, you can use the veteran readiness and employment, which is basically a secondary GI Bill, and then you can use the fucking GI Bill on top of that. So your son can leave military service with fucking a bachelor's degree, shit, even a master's degree, get out of the service and then work on another master's or work on a PhD and still be fucking successful. So best thing is always tell him to learn most of the benefits that are within the United States military. Because each branch has its own specific things that's working for him. Use all the resources available to you. They're free to you. Fucking use them. If it's to fucking talk to the career counselor or to a fucking resume builder so you can start building up your resume from the get, start doing that if you plan to get out. Use tuition assistance to get credits. You can go to he can go to American Military University, which is fully online. They take the same amount of credit. So basically tuition assistance gives you, he's married and has a newborn. Even then he can still go to school if he's married and has a newborn. If you are joining the military, use the tuition assistance and go to school. It's online. You can go through American Military University, which they made it specifically so that if you go to that university, they basically take the credit hours, the cost is exactly what the tuition assistance provides through the military. So all he has to do is go through education building, wherever it is on his installation in Fort Leonard Wood. They have an educational resource, or if not, you can go online and he can do it that way. Signs up for it, uses tuition assistance, has school paid for while he's going for it. What I do want to mention though, when you are doing that is have a plan in mind. So let's say at this time he's going to go to basic. So the first couple of months in AIT is not going to do much. Once he gets to his unit, he'll know. So if he'll be in California, he'll know. He can go to the different schools out there, but it depends on what the tuition assistance covers and what the school costs. American Military University, the cost you won't pay out of pocket. If you go to another university, you may pay out of pocket. My suggestion is use American Military University. But when he does that, research what school he actually wants to go to. So shit, you want to go to UCLA, right? That's fine. While you in the military, you use tuition assistance. You take classes that correspond with UCLA, so that it's able to transfer. So literally you can have all these classes taken and paid for by the military, but then you have to make sure that they transfer over to whatever institution they're going to. So they pass for military. Hey Jeanette, what's up? Thank you for stopping in. Thank you for saying hi. And that's what you have to do with the military. A lot of service members, what they think about is they don't think about the process within the military. They just think it's just military. Yes, you're gonna do military. You're not gonna have all the time in the world to do all these other things because you're still in the military. But if you know you have the capability to multitask and do schoolwork, do the schoolwork. If the military is going to pay for it, do it. There's also credentialing assistance, which the credentialing assistance is basically if you want to get any kind of credentialing that the military offers through them, they will pay for it also. The thing is that I know they made changes to it where I think it's only $4,000 throughout your whole career that you can use. Yes, there is military intelligence. He's 35. He's a 35 series. If he's doing military intelligence, he's doing basic there. His AI team is probably going to send him to Arizona. So he's going to do basic training in Fort Leonard Wood. Then he's probably going to be sent to Arizona for Huachuca to do his AIT. And then from there, he'll probably be sent to California. because AIT in Fort Leonard Wood does not have military intelligence. That is for Fort Huachuca in Arizona. So he's going to do his basic training for those 8 weeks at Fort Leonard Wood. Then he's going to go get shipped to Arizona to be military intelligence, be a 35 series, go through the process there. And then from Fort Huachuca, then he'll be sent to California, which most likely will be Fort Irwin. And that's probably what the process is going to look for him. But at that same time, like I said, if he has downtime, you could take one class or one semester. If you got 4 years, you can go and take one class a semester, right? It's being paid for. By the end of those 4 years, you should have at least all your core classes done. So that's the best outlook, and that's what I tell service members. If you active duty, that's your best thing. Use the tuition assistance, use the credentialing assistance, because these are things that will benefit you on the outside after you're done. Whether you do 4 years in the military or you do the whole 20 years in the military. That changes. It depends on how much you want to do and what you do. But at the same time, another key advice that I always tell service members is work as if you're going to stay in the military for 20 years and then work if you're going to get out. That's the mentality I told all of my soldiers. I've always told them the same thing. Work as if you're going to do the 20 years in the military. And then work as if you're going to get out after the first contract. So that either way, you're working on both being successful if you decide to stay in the military, or you have a better foundation for yourself when you decide to get out of the military. So that way you're not lopsided on one thing. Because once you're done with the military isn't the same on the outside. It's a whole different environment. Once you've been stuck in the military for a bunch of years, you've gone through the discipline, you've gone through the regulations, you've gone through unit formations, you've gone through mass punishment, you've gone through a deployment, you've gone through field exercises. All that shit changes once you get out the military. What I started realizing is, and what I started noticing is, a lot of service members or a lot of veterans, the biggest issue that they have, it's not that we don't know how to deal with the outside. It's more the fact that you got used to doing so many things in a certain while, in a certain place, certain time, certain uniform, that it becomes different for you in the military. Once you get out of the military, the biggest issue you run into is the fact that you are so conflicted in your thought process. You are so conflicted because you're used to being up early in the morning, going for a run, doing push-ups, doing sit-ups, going to the gym, whatever the case may be. Then you decide to get out of the military. Once you get out of the military, it's different because you don't have to do that. So a lot of the process and a lot of the anguish and a lot of the mental problem that veterans have is that, yo, I've been doing this for so long, now I don't have to do it. Now, how am I successful? How do I figure out what's going on? How do I go through this process and figure so that people understand, like, hey, I'm no longer in the military, but the thing is some of the things that I did in the military kept me in rhythm. Whereas a lot of veterans get out and they don't have any rhythm because they're like, fuck this shit. I've done this shit. I don't want to do this shit. I'm not waking up fucking early. I'm never fucking running again. Lift weights for what? You know what I'm saying? And I think that causes a lot more anguish in veterans that they don't understand, that it's just like, we should still be doing those things. A lot of those things cause us to become the person we are now because we had that structure and stuff like that. And then when you go from having that structure to not having that structure, it affects you more mentally because it's just like you used to know, hey, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm gonna get to this, I'm gonna get to do that. And then you get away from that and it's just like, oh shit, I haven't been doing this. I haven't been working out. My body's fucked up. I can't work out. My mental health is there. I don't communicate with people. I don't talk with people as much. I don't do this. I don't do that. And those things start festering in your head. And then the depression sets in or anxiety sets in or whatever issues you're dealing with. And it makes it difficult for you to customize your life going to become a regular person. Because the thing is you're dealing with those things. It's just like you had that structure, you had that camaraderie, you had that friendship. You left it now, and now it's like, how do I find that? Where do I find that? I don't have the same buddies I have anymore. I don't have the same people around me anymore. I don't have the same structure, the same dumbasses, the same mentors and stuff like that. So it gets difficult for people to understand that. And that's what people need to understand. That it's just like it's okay to still be part of the military even though you out of it. Just make sure that you are still learning who you are while still incorporating those things that made you become who you became, but also allowing yourself to grow to another level so that people can understand you that way also. That's one of the hard parts of getting out the military, but it's something you got to plan for, something you got to look at, something you got to understand that this is something that happens with all veterans. Some have it easier, some have it worse, but it's you understanding that you are not alone. You do have friends, you do have assistance, you do have help. It's just you need to be able to understand that you're no longer in and you don't have to operate as if you're in. You got to operate as if you're outside, but still keep some of those tendencies that kept you sane and kept you the way and the person you needed to be. It's the best way of explaining it, I guess. But yeah, we do these every Sunday. We do these workshops every Sunday. Some of them, like I said, some of them, yes, if you go onto the link in my bio, I have my YouTube site there where I do all the workshops and I publish stuff there. Uh, TikTok, you already have me here. I have my vet awareness project page on here, which I'm streaming from it live also. That one's mostly just veteran stuff. But this one is just always conversations and stuff like that just to have with people. Because a lot of people don't understand this and a lot of people don't view this. So these are the things that people need to see and understand. That there's a lot of information out there. But the best thing as joining the military, use everything available to you. No matter what it is, use everything available to you. Figure out what it is you can use. Figure out what benefits you have. Use all of them. While you in service, you are a federal employee. Use those things. Use those benefits. Use those discounts. Use that to buy a home. Use a VA loan. Purchase a home. Um, and hey, another thing he can do if he's gonna move to California and in that Fort Irwin area, tell him to buy a house. It might be should have hit my mic again, so it might crack a little bit. But tell him to buy a house. Make sure to save up for it. Make sure to save money. Don't waste it crazy. Buy a house. Buy a house, and then from there, rent that house out. He's gonna be there a minimum of like 3 years. In those 3 years, make sure that he has and saves a nest egg to basically allow himself to rent out that house that he purchased and still be able to cover it in case somebody doesn't rent it. But if somebody else does rent it, that means somebody else is paying for the mortgage and you still have another house at that next location. You build in passive income. You do that at the beginning, you end up doing 20 years in the military, that house is basically paid off. That first house. And it's probably not your last house. And now all of a sudden you could do your 20 years and you have passive income for you, your family, your kids. You just said you got a newborn. In 20 years, that kid is going to be able to have passive income from 1 to 2 to 3, maybe 4 different houses. So it depends on how you go about it, but you got to take advantage of these things possible. I was like, look, you use the VA loan, you don't have to put a down payment. There's no down payment for a VA loan. So instead of having to save up that 40,000, 50,000 for a down payment, you don't have to worry about it. But at the same time, you should make sure to save up that money. By the time you get out, if you can have 20,000 just there, just in case, hey, we can't get anybody to rent this place out right now, but we still own it. It's there. Improve the property. And if it doesn't do well, you can just sell it. Make some money off of it that way and buy another house at a better location. There's a lot you can do with it. The thing is take advantage of all the stuff available to you as a service member. Because it's not only the disability compensation on the back end. Yes, is that helpful? Very. But you have to have the issues to show that were caused by the military to get to that. So that's not something you could depend on, because some people go through their military service, they don't come out hurt. They don't come out with issues. Some people go to certain locations that is the great fucking fit for them. They loved it. For some, it doesn't work that way. You just have everything documented. But at the same time, use the resources that are there, because there's going to be downtime. And then there's also going to be deployment and training time, depending on where you are. But at the same time, if you could take one class here, one class there, them shits add up. You get out the service, you have your GI Bill, you still have the availability to use to finish off your degree, or you use the VRE program to do the same. There's a lot of stuff, but it's just like, hey, if people have questions, they just have to come in and ask, so that way we can give an explanation to people so that they can understand that. That's the whole purpose of this. Because if you want to get a bunch of knowledge on like disability claims and stuff like that, you can ask that here also. But there's also other tons of channels that want to give you the gimmicky way and stuff like that. This is more to make sure that we are providing information for people to understand what's available to them. You have these things available to you. These are your benefits as a veteran. These are your benefits as a service member. If you are better knowledgeable on this, you can take care of your family better. You can take care of your future better, because you have the blueprint now as to what I have available, what I can do, what I shouldn't do, what's going to benefit me, what can benefit my dependents, what can benefit my kids down the road. Once you look at it like that, when you join the military, it's very positive when it goes like that. It's crazy when Grok. It's just like those are the things that people need to understand. You influence it that way. What's up, Sagi? I was just like, you influence it that way where you can influence yourself and benefit yourself to be successful after the military. I did my 10 years. I'm successful now in the fact that I get to spend time with my kids every day. That's my measure of success. For somebody else, a measure of success could be, hey, they own 2 properties and they rent them out, or they bought their dream car, or whatever the case may be. It's just different depending on where you join, but it is still something that you can be successful at by doing it. There's different ways to do it. There's different ways to do it. There's different ways of being successful. Now, it's just asking questions, because sometimes most of this information is hard to find out and some people don't know. Federal level, state level. There's even local and county levels sometimes that they have their own benefits for veterans. Those you have to look into with your tax appraiser, or you can go into your town hall, or your damn whatever government structure that is that runs administration within your department, your town, your district, or whatever, and you can ask for like, hey, what other resources are available for veterans? What availability is there for active duty? Are there any benefits for, let's say, my spouse to be able to get a job to be successful? In some places they have the dependents have a point preference, so they get preference the same way in the federal level. Veterans get that 10-point or 5-point preference. They have the same thing, but for dependents in certain states to get benefits or get a higher priority of being hired, because they know you're a veteran's spouse or your active duty service member spouse. So those are things that people need to keep in mind and process, that these are things that are in there. These are things that are available. These are things to use. If you don't know, it's kind of hard to know, but you got to ask those questions. You got to look into it. You got to talk to people, educate yourself as best you can, and get as much knowledge to be successful on the back end. The military will cause you to sacrifice. You will sacrifice time. You will sacrifice your mind. You will sacrifice your body. But if you prepare yourself, you at least your body might be fucked up, your head might not be on straight, but you'll have everything you need to be successful on the outside, even with the shit you dealing with. And that's the best advice I can give any service member or any veteran. Prepare as if you are going to get out tomorrow. Have a plan for being out of the military by tomorrow. And have a plan to do another 3-year contract in the military if you choose to. Have a plan, set a goal. It was just like, hey, I'm going to re-enlist for another 3 years, but at the end of the 3 years, I need to save this amount of money, or I need to buy a house, or I'm getting a new car. Set that goal so that you reach that goal, and then you go for another goal. Don't hesitate to think big. Don't hesitate to think like, hey, I could get a house. I might get 2 houses. I could get a house and a car. if you're doing it right and you're doing it well and you're spending money right and you're budgeting and you're going to school, you're taking advantage of all that stuff, you can do that. Because remember, at the end of the day, you go and get your GI Bill at the end of the day, after you've done your service, that's still going to pay you BAH for whatever location you're going to. So it's still going to give you a little foothold to be able to use. Is like, you know what? If you go to New York City or you from New York City, BAH right now is like 5 grand, close to 5 grand. So if you decide to go to school in a New York City area, you'll be receiving 5 grand a month. Now, there's apartments that's gonna cost you some, but then there's places that's gonna be cheaper too, and you're not gonna be spending that 5 grand. But best believe a lot of money's gonna go into making sure you have all the shit you need. But you know, it goes with the territory, it goes with the places. That's a little stepping stone. Cause hey, if you go to school, you at least get into BAH, you at least have that. Then that allows you to go and get a little small time job. Doesn't have to be anything crazy. It can be a little small time job that as you go through school and you keep on developing, it can become something that now you've been working at this place for a couple of years while going to school. You got that income, you got the school income. Now that school income can be replaced by your job because you paid off. You know, it's different things like that. But those are just different suggestions that I like giving people because it's just like those can be beneficial to people and people can take advantage of. You can use it. You can be knowledgeable. You can be successful. You can set up a foundation for you and your family going forward because now you have everything you need available to be successful. You have an education because you got degrees. You got money saved up, or you bought a house, or you bought a car, or you started a family, or whatever the case may be. But you can set up a foundation through that, and that's what you got to do. All these changes, and that's going to specifically now, especially to whoever has a beard in the military. Got a shaving profile, you got an issue. That this is important for you now. Take advantage of it because if they are going to try to kick you out, you may only have a year and a half left. Within that year and a half, you go to the doctor. You go get seen. You go to fucking school for that little bit. Even if it's one class here or two classes there, that's something that they paying for, you ain't paying for. Look at all the stuff you can do while you have that time left to be successful. If they are planning to get you out, hey, you already know you're getting out, take advantage of it. Plan ahead, look for jobs, start creating your resume, start doing this stuff, start processing your medical records, start getting everything together so that way when you are on your way out, you're good to go. You ain't gotta worry about the military. You got your job, you got your school, you got your house car, whatever the case may be, and you are good to go. And you do not end up homeless. You do not end up struggling. You have a plan. Plan out ahead to be successful with the military. You cannot do this whole I'm gonna serve in the military and I'm gonna just serve in the military and not come out with anything. If you do your time in the military and you come out with nothing, you just wasted your time. You met a great bunch of people, but you just wasted your time. And that's not what you should be doing. You should make sure you are successful. You should make sure you are taking advantage of those resources available to you and you are taking care of them and you are maintaining them and progressing for your future and that of your family. Saki, at any point in time joining the military, it doesn't matter when you join. I was like, you could join in wartime, you can join in peaceful time. At any given moment, a war can break out. That's the truth about it. At any given moment, you can break out. Look, people were still joining, and we were still going to Iraq. We were going to Afghanistan. The deployments were getting slower, but people were still going, and people were still joining. With this, it's just like it's it's a hesitation for people to join because it's just like, fuck, we're about to go to World War III. So most people tend to be like, you know what? I don't want to go to war. But at the same time, let's say you join now, it's 4 years. It's him as president. That shit ain't gonna happen. I don't see it happening. If it does, it's not gonna happen for another couple of years. If something like that were to happen. It's not gonna happen now. If there's gonna be an issue on US soil, it's gonna be a couple of years from now, I would say. It'd be a year or two from now when more stupid shit has been passed and more shit and more people have gotten more tired of the stupidity, and then it's just gonna be chaos. I wouldn't say that's gonna happen now because some people still haven't realized what the fuck is going on. So there's just like it'll take some time to like do that. So it's not gonna be. It's gonna be a crescendo of stuff. It's gonna build up and then it's gonna happen. But look at the amount of people right now that still believe that what's going on is actually making sense. A lot of veterans know what's going on don't make no fucking sense and are upset about it. But at the same time, you still got more people in the country that still believe that what's going on is the correct thing about going about it. So it's like you could join, like I said, you could join the military and look, he's doing all this shit and Israel's doing all this shit. It was just like we may not send anybody anywhere for the next 4 years. We may just send explosives. So you could join, still get those benefits, still get your tuition assistance, still get some schooling done, get some training, get some certifications, get some college credits, because you can use your joint service transcript, and that's if you're active duty. Your joint service transcript is basically a transcript that gives you all the college credit worthy classes that you've taken. So if you go through AIT, you go through basic leaders course, you go through advanced leaders course, senior leaders course, master course, you go through CLS, or whatever classes you go through, some of those will be annotated as college credit. So you can literally take those and submit it to American Military University and get college credits for going through basic training or going through basic leader course, because some of those will be leadership classes, some of those will be like training classes, stuff like that. You can use those as transcripts and as credits to use when you submit it to school. So literally you can go get your joint service transcript, get that documentation. Once you have that documentation, you take that to the school. The school looks at it. Oh, appreciate your grip. They were just like, yet. And you do it that way. I was just like, his base hasn't realized yet how it's gonna affect him. But it's like you can start looking at pricing for stuff that you wanted to buy and see how the prices started going up. They're not mentioning it, but they're going up. Because I was on Corsair, because I was looking at some computer fans, and I was looking at the computer fans, and I was just like, they used to be $99. Now the shit went up to 105. And I was just like, man, you just put it up $6. Guess tariffs do affect people. But it's a slow thing that's gonna increment, so they're doing it. They're not all doing it all at once. Because that would cause fucking mayhem. Slowly you're gonna see one company doing it here, another one there, another here. Slowly. They're not all gonna do it at the same time. So that way you don't notice it. But you're gonna notice it when everybody's being affected, because all the prices are going up. They're just not consolidating and say, yo, tomorrow, June 30th, everybody's putting their tariffs up. No, some are doing it tomorrow. Some are doing it the week after, a couple of days after that. After July, what? This July 4th sale, look at prices, how the prices went up. Look at this July 4th sale and see how these prices is going to go up. Watch how the prices is just going to go up magically, but they're going to be on sale. It's going to be on sale. Little higher price, and the sale's going to bring it back down, but that's the thing. So those are the things that people need to pay attention to. But like I said, joining the military is a great fucking thing. You don't have to join the Army. You don't have to join the Marines. You could join the Navy. You could join the Coast Guard. You could join the fucking Air Force. They're all viable. Every branch has its own thing. All of them have tuition assistance. Now, there might be different criteria for everything. I speak from knowledge from the Army one. But it just depends on where you're going, what you're doing, what you're observing, and that's how you go about it. When you do it that way, it's different. But like I said, with all these changes, the VA is in I don't know what state it's in right now. You hear things and then they quiet about it. Then they announce another thing. Then it's like quiet about it. And it's just like, I don't know what to tell y'all, because we still trying to figure out what's going on with all these changes. There's positions everywhere. There's positions everywhere in the military. I just had a friend of mine that I met through fucking gaming. He just joined the military and he joined to be a tanker. Tankers are going to be busy if we go to war, but certain MOSs need more people. than others. But it depends on how you look at it. Depends on who you go, who you talk to. Units are units. They're gonna need people. They're gonna need positions, and it's just filling them and giving them for people to take advantage of. But the military awards you and affords you a lot of possibilities. It's just depending your job, your schooling, your thought process, how you go about re-enlisting and stuff like that. Like, look at it like this. I joined the military. I got stationed at Fort Riley, which nobody wants to fucking go to. Then I ended up in Hawaii for 3 years. Then I went to Germany for 4. And that's because I re-enlisted when I had the availability to go to those locations. My window was open, and I went and checked this. Like, hey, what you got for me? I was like, oh, we got this, and you know what? I'll come back next month. Because I knew, because I went through the class, every month the priority changes. Because within that month, it was like, hey, we need people at Fort Irwin. Ain't nobody trying to go there. But if people need to re-enlist, that's the only option. They're going to re-enlist. They're going to fill up all those slots. The next month, oh, we don't need nobody at Irwin. We need people at this location. So I was just like, you know what? I want to go. I've always wanted to go to Hawaii. I knew it was an option. I was just like, I'll wait till something opens up. And I was just like, I don't care what it is. If it opens up in Hawaii, let me know and I'll sign up for it. Got on the computer, started typing, found that shit, was like, oh, yo, I got you Hawaii. Where did I end up? I ended up at Division. I was like, okay, shit, I'm at Division. Then I ended up at the chemical unit in Hawaii. Cool. Same thing with Germany. It was just like a lifelong dream. I want to experience and go travel Europe. And the military was going to do this for me. It was like, fuck yeah. Germany it is. And I waited. I was like, yeah, we got this opening here for your position. And I was just like, you good to go? And I was just like, you know what? Okay, got it. And that was it. But it's a process. It's not something that's you educating yourself and learning the process to be successful in the military. There's rules and regulations for everything in the military. There's a regulation as to how you go through this process. There's a regulation on how to go through that process. And it was just like, there's a process for all that, but it's just depending on what you do. Shit, you can get stationed in Panama. You can get stationed in Qatar, Jordan, Egypt, Belgium, parts of Africa, different other parts in Southern America. You can get stationed all that. It has to be available and it has to be a position that's there for you. But it doesn't happen for everybody, but you can still travel a lot of places that you never thought you would ever gone to in your lifetime to do it. Shit, I had some of my soldiers go to Thailand and Vietnam to do well, mostly Vietnam, to do like recovery stuff. See, look, Panama for 5 years. You can do it. It's just you have to fall into those positions. Does it always happen? No. But when they do, it's fucking sweet as hell because I got to live in fucking Hawaii for 3 years. I would have never thought I would have been able to say that. I got to live in Germany for 4 years. I would have never thought I was going to say that. I would have never thought I was going to be able to say I visited Italy, Switzerland, Poland, Romania, Austria, the Netherlands. I was like, you can decline orders. It's called a deck statement. It's a declination. Declination. I forget it's a deck statement of orders. So you're declining orders, and you could do that once. You could do that. You could do that multiple times. It's just frowned upon because it looks like, oh, you don't want to do what the military is trying to tell you to do. But you can sign it because for me, that's what I had to do to get out of the military. I signed a deck statement which said I was not going to get my sergeant first class, and I wasn't going to PCS to the next location. And that's what I had to do to get out the military. I had to sign a deck statement because I got put on orders to be sent to Fort Leonard Wood, which is funny. And then there was just like, well, you're promotable. You'll get your sergeant first class. We just need you to re-enlist, and you'll be sergeant first class. And I was just like, but then that means I have to go indefinite. I was just like, I'm not doing indefinite. I'll do another 3 years and then think about it then. But I'm not doing a 10-year sign up right now. And then it was just like, okay, if y'all want to give me that, I'm not doing that. I signed my deck statement. I didn't get my sergeant first class, and I got out the Army. That was it. But there's options to do it. You can do it. It's not like you can't. It's just it will go on your record like, oh, this person decided to decline this because the Army don't like when you say you don't want to do shit. or Boston. See, look, people go to Boston. You go to different places all over the world, the places you never thought you would have been. You think a lot of these soldiers now that are getting sent to Poland thought, oh shit, I was gonna be in Poland. Don't nobody join the military think, oh, you know what? I'm gonna spend 9 months at a time in Poland. Ain't nobody. Ain't nobody think that. Nobody thought that in their right mind. Oh, you know what? I might get sent to Romania for a couple of months. No, nobody thought that. Nobody thinks that. But then next thing you know, you in your Romania out in the streets partying and shit and doing different stuff. As long as nobody does nothing stupid. But then it's just like, you know what? This is great. I would have never thought I was doing this. What would have happened if I would have never joined the military? And that's the question I always ask myself. Like, what would have happened to me? Or how would my life be different? But that's a big what if. I don't worry about those things. I'm happy now. Got my family, got my kids, got my house, got cats, got fam. We good. Health, we working on. And family is too, but that's something, like I said, that's why we taking more time away from this and we trying to make sure we are healthy, family's healthy, and we're going through the process like that. But all right, y'all. I'm gonna call it. Um, Appreciate y'all tuning in. We'll do this. We have this view. I like this view because it's simple. I could just look at the camera straight. I don't have to be sideways or anything. But yeah, I wouldn't be talking to y'all if that is true. I would not be having these conversations the same way if it weren't for me joining the military or being in there. So, um, I who knows if I would have even been on TikTok at this point. But I appreciate y'all as always. Be good to one another. Take care of one another. Look out for one another. And love one another. And stay marvelous while doing it, y'all. I'm just Cruz. This has been our Sunday workshop chat, get up, whatever you want to call it. Um, we do these every Sunday. Make sure to check out the website, the link. Like I said, if you got any information, you got any questions, you can go to the website. You can contact us through there. Send us an email if you have any questions or if you have something that needs to be answered. You can go ahead and do that. We're gonna work on once I am done with this whole benefits thing. That's when I think I may actually start up these consultations again. But do it that it'll be a paid service, but I am giving you the information for your state also. So I'm gonna help you with the disability claim stuff, but then I'm also gonna give you the resources for your thing. So I think that would be something I think would be more willing to be paid for than just, oh, we're going to help you with your disability claim. No, I'm going to help you with your disability claim, but then also provide you the information that you need from your state so that you are successful with any other endeavors that you want to do through your state while also being a veteran. So we're working on that. It is tedious to go through 50 states and territories to find all their information and a bunch of stuff, but it's something we're working on. But as always, I appreciate y'all. Annette, as always, thank you for being a member. Thank you for always being here. Grip, thank you for checking it out from Thailand. JC, as always, thank you. Cindy Queen, thank you for tuning in. Vegas, Sagi, Susan, Charles, Jeanette, Babs, thank you all for stopping in and tuning in. Said Captain Cruz, nah. Staff Sergeant Cruz, or just Cruz. Cruz. That makes it simple. But I appreciate y'all. Y'all have a good rest of y'all week. And I'll check y'all next time. Peace.